cousin or something. But, we hired him. We'll talk about this at length, but Cowboy hired him through the recommendation of the wrestling coach at OU, Stan Abel. Doc was a starter on the football team 4 years, and then he's a 4-time wrestling All-American. So he's a two-sport guy in a legitimate way at a real school that played big-time football and had a big-time wrestling program, especially at that time. But he was signed between his junior and senior year. He had another year of eligibility left. And do you think that the conversation that Doc had with Cowboy about maybe I won't go back and I'll just wrestle because this is what I'm going to do when I get out of school, that went over like a fart in church because Cowboy was an OU alum. He was going to have Doc not being All-American 4 times. There ain't many of those. And he wasn't going to have him he's the captain of the football team, offensive guard number 76, and not go back out for football because that would have pissed off Barry Switzer. And Barry Switzer and Cowboy were buddies. And he wrestled and went to high school with Stan Abel. So Doc was locked in. You're going back to school. It's kind of like our deal with Brock Lesnar. Our deal with the coach, you'll get him back. We'll recruit him. We'll sign him the day he graduates or the day his eligibility is gone. So Doc's got there's a lot of stories about Doc. Legitimately the toughest guy, top 5 or 6 toughest guys in all of wrestling ever, in my view. There'll be the Haku discussions and all, and they ain't going to argue that, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crazy. But Doc was in that same conversation. So we'll have some good Dr. Death stories next week and follow his career trajectory. I know that Cowboy was on his ass about when he finally got out he was about 330 pounds or 320, something like that, as an offensive guard. He killed people, Conrad. He killed people. Like that of course, I can't remember the kid's name that got drafted from Alabama the other day. Big left tackle, I think. God damn, he's good. But he's like that. He's a mauler. He's a grizzly bear. So, but that was Doc. So we'll talk about Doc and some of his opponents and Japanese runs. And, he's one of those guys, too, that sometimes didn't make all the best decisions. And we have to live with our decisions, folks. It shouldn't put you down for the count. But we've got to understand that we're going to make mistakes. And we have a lot of choices to make in our life. And sometimes my friend didn't make all the best choices. But it didn't mean I didn't love him any less. And the things that we had to go through in WWE, the brawl for it all and all that stuff we'll talk about, some of it was just absolutely gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. So I wrote about that. My wife, Jan, helped me so much through that deal because Bruce and I were lobbied hard to get Doc into WWE. And because we thought we'd get one run with Austin. That was all. But we'll talk about that. There's so many stories. Now we're talking. You and I are talking about it here. The shit's just flooding back. Boom, boom. Another story, another image. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Next week, right here on Grillin' J.R. Of course, you can hear that episode early and ad-free, and you could have listened to this show early if you were joining us over at adfreeshows.com. He is at JR's BBQ. I am at Hey, it's Conrad, and we are out of time. We'll see you next week right here on Westwood One each and every Thursday. Next week, it's all about Dr. Death, Steve Williams, on Grillin' JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross.
And now, an excerpt from the audiobook version of Under the Black Hat by Jim Ross, available now.
Vince was always opinionated, animated, and sometimes sharp in my headset. But rarely was he so aggressive in his producing of my work. He wanted SmackDown to be perfect from day one, and he was putting that pressure squarely on me. King gave me his favorite son smile. Jerry never got notes from Vince, not one effing time. Kevin Dunn chimed back in. 5, 4, 3. This is a whole new audience, JR. God damn it, Vince shouted. Talk to them. Tell them who we are. King's smile turned to a chuckle as he heard what a shitty night I was having. Jerry did not like drama, and Vince knew that. The King didn't have the mindset to deal with long-term tension. If Vince wanted the best performance from Jerry Lawler, he knew not to confront him. So I got it instead. You got it? Vince asked. Yep, I replied to the boss. I got it. And now we're back live. New set, new colors, new opening, new channel, same announce team. I think that's what was bothering Vince so much. I was finding out live on the air that we were not ready.
Under the Black Hat, the audiobook, and all formats are available at jrsbbq.com and wherever books are sold. Get yours today at jrsbbq.com.